is kind of like Skype or FaceTime, but with a lot of other great features that you will use while tutoring. You have a Zoom account already just by being an Eastern student. So what I'm going to show you today is just how to access that account, how to host your meeting, and how to invite your students to that meeting, okay? Within that meeting, you will be able to do a lot of cool things. First of all, you will be able to have your video on so they're seeing your face, and they will have their video on as well, which just adds to kind of the personalization of what you're doing, and also make sure that the student you think you're tutoring is the student you're tutoring. But also you can share your screen. So that means you can share, if you have their paper, for example, you can pull it up on the screen so that they can see it and you can see it. If you're doing a math problem with them, there's also a whiteboard function in Zoom that I'm going to show you. So you can draw on it, you can write on it just like you would a regular whiteboard, and they see what you're writing. They also can share their screen with you. So that's great too if you want to say, figure out this problem, when you're done, put it up on the screen and we'll see how you did. All of this is possible, okay? So
can I ask a question already?
Absolutely.
The graduating seniors, will they still have access to their Zoom accounts?
I believe so, because it's through your email. So you should be fine.
Okay.
But I will double check and make sure if you remind me afterwards.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to have you, this is a very hands-on training, so I want you guys to actually try this out today. So we're going to go through these instructions that I've handed you, and I'll send this to you via email too, so you all have it in email form. So Zoom works through Google sign-in. So if you are signed into some kind of personal Gmail in the background, please sign out of that and make sure you're signed into your Eastern email, because all of this needs to be accessed through your Eastern email. So now I want you to just open a new tab in your browser and go to zoom.eastern.edu. Nope, that is the wrong address. Zoom.eastern.us. Oh, let's try that. Nope. Hold on. Eastern.zoom.us. Let's change that on our sheet. Okay, yeah, you'll want to bookmark that. Make sure you have that correct. Eastern.zoom.us. From here, you're going to click on the login screen. The login is at the top right. And you're going to go ahead and click on sign in with Google at the bottom. Do y'all see that option? I know you were tempted to just put in your email address, but instead click on the Google thing at the bottom. Okay, y'all there? Now you should be able to log in using your Eastern email account. If you are not logged in, can you let me know? Okay, so this is how you'll get to Zoom each time. You'll go to eastern.zoom.us. You'll click on the login with Google. You'll log in with your Eastern account. I will tell you that the students you're tutoring don't have to go through this process. They're just going to click on a link and be right in your room. So it's just you that needs to know this process, okay? So now we're here, and now we're going to schedule a meeting. So when you want to schedule a tutoring session, this is how you do it. So everybody go ahead and click on Schedule a New Meeting. Do you see that option? If you don't see that option, you want to click on the Meetings menu on the left. Give me some verbal. Yes, we're good. Okay, schedule a new meeting. What I'd like you to call your meeting is the name of the student you're tutoring. So you can make up a name for now, because we're going to go ahead and do this for real. The name of the student you're tutoring, and a class that you're tutoring them in. So I might have Joe Schmo in English 102. So put that in the topic, because that's going to be the name of the meeting for both you and your student. It's going to help you keep track of who you're tutoring and when and what you're tutoring them in. Okay? Then you're going to set the date and time of your meeting. You can do that by clicking on the date, changing it. So go ahead and pick a random date. It does not matter. So I'm going to schedule mine for Monday. You can change the time. And how long are your tutoring sessions? An hour, okay, so we can leave that at an hour. I'm going to talk about this little alert message that it's giving you a bit later, but don't worry about that for right now. All right, so we have our date and time set for this meeting with Joe Schmo or whoever your person is. I'm going to have you check a few things. I have this in your packet. I would recommend that under that video option that you have your video on and your participants' video on. Remember, I said that makes it a little more personal, right? It's helpful to see them, so go ahead and set that. In the meeting, you can always turn on and off your video if you need to go feed the dog or something, or whatever. You can turn that off for a minute and then turn it back on, but for default, let's set it as on, okay? Under the audio, it defaults to both, and I would like you to keep it at both, okay? And then for meeting options, the only box I'd like you to check here is to use your personal meeting ID. So let me explain that to you a little bit. All of you in your Zoom account have a personal meeting room. It's helpful to think of it like a physical room, so like this tutoring room, okay? I'm recommending that all of your meetings happen in that same tutoring room. That way, if people are coming for a recurring meeting, they're always going to the same place, just like they always come here to this physical room for their tutoring, okay? It is possible, if you don't check that box, to create a new room for each new meeting. All right, that may be a little more confusing for your recurring students who come back to you again and again, because they have to make sure that they've clicked on the right link to get to the right room.
I don't see the box for that. What is it supposed to say?
So it says use personal meeting ID.
Yeah, all the ones but that
Oh,
one.
that's interesting. Huh. That's fascinating. These four. That's funny because I even went in as a non-me person. Okay, so in that case, ignore what I just said. That's why we're doing this session. Click save, and let's just see what happens for you guys. Okay, you should get to a screen that looks like this. Do you have the same screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so we won't worry about that personal meeting room thing. Anytime you see something different than what I'm saying, tell me. That will be helpful. So you can go ahead and cross that part off of your document, since that won't be an option for you all as students. Okay. So now we are in this kind of confirmation screen, and on this screen you should see that your student name is still the same, right? You've got the topic name up there, your student name, the course, and you have a few options for now notifying the student that the meeting has been scheduled. The easiest option that I recommend is to just copy that join URL. Do you all see that? Do you see a join URL? Go ahead and just copy that.
Wait, sorry, I don't see
Under meeting ID.
it. Okay, yeah, copy the invitation.
Copy the URL. Go into your Eastern email. Write a nice email to Joe Schmo and paste that link there. So what you'll want to say, and maybe you guys want to develop a standard email for this that simply says something like, I've scheduled your tutoring session for this date and time. Here's the link to go to the session.
And if I can interject here, probably at this point you will have already determined a time and day with the students. Since you're remote, we are still trying to figure out the procedure of initial contact with a student who's requesting tutoring. But my guess would be there'd be some emailing back and forth. Hey, are you available Monday at 6? Great, I'm going to set up a Zoom room for that time.
Yeah.
And then you would go to this procedure and send this link. So it wouldn't be a random, this is when I'm available, join me or not. It would be one that was already pre-arranged with
And
your
you
two.
may end
your
up
student.
scheduling that too, yeah. Well,
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are all the little pieces of this that we're going to all figure out together, since this is an initiative.
yes. So now I want you all to go to the left-hand side of your screen and click on the meetings menu. Do you see your meeting listed? Okay, so this is going to be really helpful for you. Anytime you log into Zoom, you will see all of your upcoming tutoring meetings listed there with the date and time. That will help you stay organized, okay? To start the meeting, you can simply click on Start. Doesn't even have to be the day and time, like that link is ready to go. So what happens when you click on Start? I'm just curious from your side of things.
Oh, wow, you're there.
Did it prompt you to download anything,
Yes.
or did it just, okay, it may prompt you for a short download. Go ahead and do that.
Can this be used on all devices, including
Mhm.
Chromebooks and things that don't?
Great.
You're a Chrome and it's working? Okay.
Yeah, I have an iPad.
An
And that's
iPad,
working. Okay.
iPads
It's on
are
my
great
phone
too.
too.
It works fine on the phone actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, so is everybody in? Are you seeing yourself on the screen in the video form? Okay, very cool. Did you get this prompt? Everybody got that? So let me talk a little bit about this prompt. When you're doing this for the first time, if you're worried that your speaker and microphone might be weird, you can click on that second option called Test Speaker and Microphone, and it will run you through a brief test. If you didn't do that, it's fine. It'll prompt you every time. So you can always do that test. Otherwise, you can just click that green button, Join with Computer Audio, and then you are in, looking at yourself. I'm going to tell you from the start that it's awkward for every human being on the planet to see themselves in video form on a screen. So just get over it quickly because it's going to happen a lot this summer. Okay. All right, so while you're in there, I'm just going to have you in this room kind of practicing what to do with Zoom from the tutoring side, okay? So on the bottom left-hand corner, you have that microphone. Do y'all see that? And if you say something, your microphone is going to kind of go up and down in green. Yep, everybody try it out. Okay, good. Click on that microphone, and your microphone is muted. Click on it again to unmute it. And sometimes your participant will accidentally mute their mic, so you'll want to walk them through what you just did. You can also stop your video, which, you know, like I said, if you need to go run and take care of something and you want to just stop the video portion, or your student's working on a problem and you want to just stop your video for a second so it's not distracting, you can click on Stop Video. And if you do that, you'll see that your name just comes up in its place.
Where
Y'all
was that
see
on your, I missed, oh, okay.
Did y'all try that? And then again, click it again to turn it back on. Okay. And if you don't touch your screen for a while, that bottom menu bar is going to disappear, right? Don't panic. Just move your cursor and it reappears. Everything you need is right there. All right, let's talk about this share button, which is green and exciting. So click on share. And when you do, you have a lot of options. All right, let me talk through what these are. First, you have the option to share your desktop. This is what I recommend because it's going to allow you to go between different things, whether that's a web browser or a PowerPoint or a Word document. You can continue to do whatever you want to do on your screen and your student will see all of those things. All right, so that's one option. Another option is the whiteboard option. So let's go ahead and check that out. Double click on the whiteboard option. It is really fun. So now you have a whiteboard on your screen. Does it say that on your?
No, just use Payman.
Oh, that's great. So try drawing on there. You have an eraser if you want to erase what you did.
Mine's not coming up like that.
Okay, let me see what you got out there.
I just restarted the video. So on Chromebooks, there's no option to use the whiteboard. However, they can find an online source
Yep.
possibly to take that place.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
So that'll be just fine. If you do have the whiteboard, again, you can draw. Oops, I'm on the eraser. I can draw in any color that I want. Right. you can click on the clear button to clear what you've done. Clear all drawings, clear my drawings, right?
And if the Chromebook users did use an online whiteboard, then they could just share their desktop.
Right.
And the person, the student on the other end would be able to see that whiteboard through the desktop
Exactly.
share. So instead of using the second tab for Blackboard, chalkboard, whatever, whiteboard, whatever it's
Whiteboard,
called.
yep.
I'm dating myself, Blackboard. You would check desktop
That's
and then
exactly
pull
right.
up the whiteboard.
Yes.
The online
great.
whiteboard. And I'm sure there's
And-
online whiteboards somewhere.
You'd probably want to tell your student to also go to the same online whiteboard on their side so that they can then share what they've done on the whiteboard as well. So the benefit of the Zoom whiteboard is that we can both be working on it. I could be working on it and my student can be working on it, right? Oh, that's beautiful. Nice job.
Appreciate it. Just testing it out, all the colors work.
So if you have a Chromebook and you need an online whiteboard, just make sure to let your student know that too. All right, so when I'm done with the whiteboard, if I go to the top of my screen, you guys see a red button that says Stop Share?
Yes.
Click on that. You're back to your video screen. Let's go back into that share button though, because there are a couple other things I want to show you. So again, desktop is your first option, which will share everything on your screen. Whiteboard is what we just went over. Do you have something called your browser, like Safari or Chrome or whatever, listed there too as an option? Again, Kelsey, sorry you won't see this.
Yeah, so I didn't have, oh, actually, just kidding. Yes. Yes.
What is
I
yours
thought
called?
I thought I didn't have a shared screen thing, but I do have it.
Okay.
And then it also has something where you can share whatever you're working on, whether it's
Right.
like a Pages document or Safari or whatever.
Excellent. So whatever you have open in the background of your computer will also be an option to share. So if for some reason you only want to share Safari, you can click on Share Safari. Now the hard thing is that sometimes, like if you have a pop-up or if you want to go back to a Word document, it's not going to show it very well. So that's why I'd recommend just sticking with the desktop. Okay, but I do, because you're going to be tempted to click on all these other things, I would just stick with the desktop because it will always share whatever you have up on your screen. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. All right, so what else do I want to show you?
Is the iPad or the iPad iPhone option, is that useful at all?
Great question.
What is that?
I don't know. You can play with it though.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, let me know. I have not used it. I'm assuming if maybe you had your iPhone plugged in, that you could share what's on your phone via AirPlay. Yeah, but let me know if you find
Well,
it.
AirPlay would be-
It said a plug-in is required, so I would probably, if I were to plug my phone into the computer,
Yeah.
I could share something.
Yeah, that's my thought. But that's interesting. Lots of interesting options. The when we go back to your video screen, do you all have the option to record at the bottom?
Yes.
Oh, you do. See, that's so funny what you have. Okay, great. So if you want, and you guys will have to decide if you want this,
What is
you
that?
can record your whole tutoring session. So that may be helpful because especially if you have a recurring student, you can kind of go back to the recording and see what you covered last time when you go to the next session. So if you record your session, you simply click on, and you can go ahead and do this too. Why don't we all do this? Just click on record, and it automatically starts recording what you're saying, what you're doing on your shared screen, all that good stuff. Again, move your cursor and you'll see the option to stop the recording in the same place. So go ahead and click stop. And you should get like a little message on the screen that says this recorded file will be converted to an MP4 when the meeting ends. All right. So nothing is going to happen to that recording yet, but when we're finished with our meeting, it will download that recording to your computer. Okay. It usually saves it as a file called zoom.mp4. And so sometimes people have trouble finding the file. Just search for Zoom on your computer and you'll see where it's putting all of them.
Now,
It like saves it to your camera roll.
Oh, good. Oh, that's cool.
and
Yeah.
I would like to see, can you try that, Kelsey? Because I'd like to see where it saves it on a Chrome. Does it give you an option to save it to Google Drive?
No, it doesn't give me an option to record.
Okay. All right, so some limitations with
Sadness.
the Chromebooks.
Yep.
I own a Chromebook too, rather than a,
Which, I mean, you guys have to decide if you actually want recordings. I don't know if they'll be beneficial or not, but it's something to think about. It may even be helpful for the student to have the recording of the tutoring session so they can go back to what you covered if they are studying for a test or whatnot. So think about that if you have that option. Do you also see a chat option at the bottom of your screen? Okay, so go ahead and click on that. Opens a little chat screen on the side and you can say hello and just type and hit enter. This is a very helpful option.
Kelsey, do you have that?
Yes.
Okay.
Wonderful.
I'm just trying to figure out the differences between
Yeah.
Chromes and computers.
This is a very helpful option if you get into your meeting and you can't hear the other person, but they're there, okay? Or if they're having trouble hearing you, you can chat on here until you figure things out, okay? Most likely their mic is muted. So what I want to do, any questions so far? Are we doing good? What I'm going to do now is to invite you all to a meeting so you can see what it looks like from the student side of things. So to do that, let's end your meetings. Do you remember how to do that? Did you see that as an option? When you hover over your screen at the bottom, you should see end meeting. Kelsey, I don't know what you see. What do you see on yours? Did you see the same?
End meeting.
Yeah, did you see the same thing, Nicole?
Yeah,
Yours is at the top?
To leave and end meeting.
Great. So when you click end meeting, it's going to ask you if you want to leave the meeting or end the meeting for all. Go ahead and end the meeting for all. That will generate your recording. We'll log everybody else out. You should see a status bar that it's downloading your recording. Everybody seeing that? It's going to ask you where you want to save your recordings at. Did you get that option? Did you just click save? That's fine. It just might go somewhere weird.
Actually, just saves in a Zoom folder.
Good. So click save, and there's your recording. Okay. I have found also that when I'm playing around with Zoom and maybe I'm using a new computer or I'm using my home internet, sometimes I'll just set up my own Zoom room, go in there, record myself talking so that I can see how my volume was, how everything went, did the internet worked, was it good, and then watch the recording briefly just to make sure all of that's set. So you can do that at any time, just to test things out. All right, so I'm going to invite you all to a meeting. Let me get out of here and just start over. All right, so give me all of your email addresses.
Just names.
Kelsey dot Freander hyphen card.
Nicole dot, are you a dot marker?
Yeah.
Suzanne, right?
Yeah.
There
Stars,
you go.
Mine's L Revner. L-R-E-V-N-E-R.
L-E-V-N-E-R?
L-R-E-V.
L-R-E-V-N-E-R.
B,
And
B.
B. I'm sorry. It's like, why isn't it coming up? There you go, Lindsay. Okay,
Shannon.juggler.
there you are. Okay,
Nicole.Wiener.
how do you spell it?
W-E-N-I-N.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
I'm the last one of my kind. How do I spell it? I feel like that's just
Okay, check your email for that invitation. It's coming from a very old email address that we never use anymore, so don't reply to that. Just
Oh, wow.
click on it.
Back in the day when
Right?
Blackboard was a thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
long ago.
Joining session.
Okay, there's everybody.
So it is also possible to host a group tutoring session. Y'all may want to mute your volume because you're going to hear me talking in your computer. But this is possible too. It kind of looks like the Brady Bunch a little bit in here. Let me show you what it looks like if I'm sharing my screen. What can I share? Here's our FastPass schedule. Isn't that exciting? These are all the courses, and I can talk about it, and I can highlight the document. I can even type on here. Okay, you seeing what I'm saying? Yeah? Okay, I can stop my share, and now I'll do the whiteboard thing for you. Okay. Let's try, I'm not sure how to give you rights to draw, so let's play with that. So you guys can't draw right now. Here's what I think I need to do. If I stop sharing my screen, I'm gonna have, Nicole, can you go ahead and share your screen instead in this room? Does it let you do that? Share your whiteboard. Ah, now you can draw. Sweet. Okay, so now you stop your share, and let's have Shannon share her whiteboard.
I don't have any.
She doesn't have one,
You
she's
don't
a
have
Chrome,
one? Share your screen.
your desktop.
Great, so you could open up anything you want, any website, and we would see it. Okay, now stop your share. And let's see, Lindsay, is that right?
Yeah.
Lindsay, why don't you try sharing? What I want y'all to see is that you have to stop sharing before the next person can share. It's helpful if you do it, just to see. Okay, good? Nice job.
How do you feel in the room?
Susie, you haven't tried it yet, right? You'll just share, good. And let's see, who else has it? The other Nicole? Did you do it yet? Beautiful. And Kelsey, did you try sharing yet?
Kelsey, try your desktop.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, good. Y'all shared successfully, right? Pretty easy, and you can walk your student through that too because it's the same process. So, did you see when you clicked on my meeting link, you didn't have to do anything? You didn't even have to log in, right? So for your students, they're not going to have to log in. They don't have to do anything. They just click on that link in the email. It's super easy. They may have that brief download, right? But that's it.
So to clarify, if I have something on my whiteboard, they cannot write on that. I would have to stop
Right.
sharing and they would have to open up their own whiteboard in order to.
That is what it looks
Okay.
like, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yep. Ooh, and people are chatting, look at that. How exciting. And you
Guys-
can send private messages to people too, which I'm sure is what you all are doing.
Do you guys have any questions about this before we just ask Rebecca some general questions? You guys feel comfortable enough to at least try it out and use? Okay.
Thank you all for bringing your devices too, because it was really helpful.